Kira, so why'd you want to sell your timeshare? You thought it was such a good idea at the time. Well, you know what had happened was I was in Cancun and I had about 7 margaritas the day before, and Juan Lopez told me that I could rent all my extra bonus weeks from RCI and make like $2,000 a week. So I figured it basically gonna pay for itself. But you know, I'm thinking Juan Lopez was a little bit full of shit, you know. So that's where we're at now. That's right, Kira. Not always buying a timeshare is a good idea. You know, some people get on vacation, you get the heat of the moment. It sounds good, looks good. You're in Hawaii. You're like, I'm gonna come back here every year. That's a great idea. Now it's yeah. She's like, oh yeah. Now it's 5 years later, and airline tickets are like $5 million to go fly to Hawaii. I didn't think that went through. Now my prices of my kibbles are up 20% thanks to the government printing trillions of dollars, and so it's putting a kibosh on my vacation budget. I know, that's how it goes, kicker. That's how it goes. So what do you do when you get stuck with your timeshare and you don't want it anymore? Okay, you got limited, you got some options. They're probably not going to be what you want to hear, but I'll tell you, you know, what you could do with it. Okay, let's say. All right, so you got major developers, and then you got smaller developers, and then you probably got like Mexican or international developers. So they're all probably a little bit different. So let me do it kind of, I guess, more to the general. Okay, so first thing you want to do, if you want to see how much your timeshare is worth, go to eBay, type in the name of your timeshare resort that you bought at or company you own with, points or whatever, and then just see what they're selling for on eBay. Then also, you probably won't be excited to see what it says most of the time, but that'll kind of give you the best idea of what you could probably expect to receive. You can go to the timeshare users group, tug2.net, and they have a timeshare marketplace. This dog's killing me. Let me do a quick tour of Nashville area. Okay, so go to the timeshare marketplace, on timeshare users group, see what they're selling for on there. Then you could also go to Red Week, see what they're for sale on there. And between the three of them, that'll kind of give you an idea of what you could probably get. Probably eBay is probably going to be the lowest price you'll see it. Now, not every buyer knows to go to all these different places, but it can kind of give you a general idea of what your timeshare is worth. Don't ever pay anybody to sell your timeshare. Like, that's how I got started in the business. I went to there are guys that'll call you if you haven't been called already. They charge you like $500 to $2,000, and they say they'll sell your timeshare, and they have all these deals with you know, corporations, and they'll rent it out, whatever. Don't get ran over, dude. So they'll give you this good song and dance, like, oh, we have somebody waiting for you, you know, that somebody wants to buy that particular unit at this price. If they're telling you anywhere near what you paid for it price, then you know damn well that they're full of, you know, it's not really going to happen. If you could sell it online like that, that's what the timeshare companies would do. They wouldn't be paying salesmen and marketing people half of the cost of a timeshare to sell it. So don't believe it. Whatever the story is, never give anybody any money up front to sell your timeshare. You can also go to the LTRBA.com. That's the Licensed Timeshare Resale Brokers Association. It's like a foundation, but like a whatever, a group that like what do you say, like checks those kinds of companies out. So they only have guys on there, like actual real estate brokers who are legitimate and who could sell your timeshare for you. And they'll usually have like a list of people in your area, so you can, she just wrapped me up again. All right. So they'll have a list of people in your area that you can go to, and they'll only take a commission off the sale. So they'll take like a 20 to, I don't know, 30% commission probably. They're all probably a little different in how they do it. Could be 10%. I doubt it would be 10%, but they will sell your timeshare for you without you having to pay any money up front, because you never want to pay anybody up front. like when I first got out of timeshare, I went to work for one of those guys, and I thought it was a great idea because I had been selling them for a little bit, and I think I got fired for being late. Yeah, because I didn't have a car and I was taking taxi cabs. That's why I wish friggin' Uber was around then, because you would take a taxi cab and you'd call them, and then like 40 minutes later they still wouldn't be there, and you'd call them and they'd be like, oh, the guy forgot or whatever. And anyways, I digress. Uber's sweet. All right. I've only used it a couple times, but it works way better. Anyways, what was I talking about? Oh, those timeshare resale companies. I worked for one for like a few months, and then I'm like 21 years old, and I was like, oh great, we're getting these people out of it, and then we'll rent it out. And I was like, well, where do we post them up for sale? And then I'd always be like interested, because I love business, and I've been, you know, trying to start my own business forever. And they'd always just kind of look at me funny, and then they'd be like, oh, well, we put ads in these papers and whatnot. And then then after a while I was like, oh, these dudes just keep the money and they don't do shit. And the guy would buy the leads from the jockey club in Las Vegas, and I was like, well, where do you get these leads? And after I had worked for him for a while, he's a super cool dude, as most con men are. I don't know if he's a con man per se, but anyways, he would buy the leads from this guy who had like a drug problem at the jockey club, and the guy would just photocopy all the deeds for him. Now there's like lists you can buy, because I've even bought in lists of timeshare owners, especially if they're deeded real estate. You can buy a list of timeshare owners for not that much money. So anyways, all your information's out there. So they'll call you if you ever get contacted. Don't ever pay them to sell your timeshare. That's the worst idea you can do. So go see how much it is on these other sites. See what people are asking for it. Now, if you have like Worldmark, I've heard good things about Timeshare Angels. I mean, I guess I've tried to email them to get points, and I'll email them and they'll be like, oh, we're out of points, and then that was like 30 days ago. So it took them a month to get back to me, but I have heard a lot of people sell their timeshares. I bought in one from them. Actually, the process went pretty smooth, so I don't know, you can try them. Timeshare Angels, I have no affiliation with them, so just take it with a grain of salt, but they don't charge any money up front. And they will, what's your problem now? This dog is smart. The dog's smarter than me, more powerful, and pretty sure she could kick my butt. So Timeshare Angels. For Marriott, I currently use a broker. I'll put his link in the description in case something ever happens to him. He's the current broker we use. He doesn't charge any money up front. He does a great with all the high-end timeshares, so Marriott, Westin, Hyatt, Disney. He'll sell those. He just takes a commission off the sale. Super great guy. Name's David. You can message us in the comments or email us at support@timesharesimplified.com, and we can send you whatever current brokers we're working at, in case you're watching this 10 years from now and there's an apocalypse and everybody burned up and we have new contacts. So you never know. Okay, so use a broker. Never list it on these. If somebody's telling you you can get like the same or more than you bought it from, then that's a scam. Run. If anybody's trying to tell you you can make money renting out your RCI bonus weeks or your interval weeks, that's a scam. Anybody telling you something that sounds, as usual, too good to be true, then that's probably a scam. So please stay away from that. I've had people pay like 6 of those different companies, like the one I used to work for. I mean, I personally, I accidentally sold this same lady twice in an 8-month period. I think she was a little older, and I didn't even dawn on me because I'm not very observant. But then after I was thinking about it, I was like, I think that's the same lady I had sold like a long time ago. So, you know, they prey on, you know, a lot of timeshare owners buy these when they're older, and then they get even older, and it's easy for these guys to prey on you. So just hopefully you're watching this before you paid anybody, and if you paid them, pretty much chalk it up to a loss and move on. So for most timeshares, probably 60% of them, you're probably not going to get much for them, just because it's really hard to sell by just listing it online, because nobody ever wakes up and says, hey, I want to go buy a timeshare. I mean, I sold timeshares for 20 years and well, for most of it, and not one person ever came in and said, hey, I want to buy one of these. I wouldn't believe you if that happened. So yeah, it doesn't happen because nobody wakes up and wants to buy one. And if they do want to buy one, they probably already own them or have went on a tour, and so they're looking to get like the cheapest price possible because they know on the secondary market it's a lot cheaper. So now if you own a good one and you own it for longer than like 10-15 years, then you could probably get what you paid for it out of it, or most of it. Like if you bought a Marriott resort in 1987, like I toured this one guy's dad bought 2 weeks at Hilton Head or something like that for like $4,000 each in 1983. And I toured him and went like 2012 to buy, you know, so even if he sold them for $5,000 a week now, he got more than he paid for them. Plus he had, what's that, like 40 years to use them. He got all that value of staying out of Marriott a week for 40 years. Of course, I mean, you have the maintenance too, but the maintenance is only a big deal if you weren't going to travel. Or I live on a house with like, I live on a street with like 6 or 7 houses, and there's a lot of traffic, incredibly. So, sorry, the dog keeps turning me around. Okay, so, where are we at? Okay, so you got your high-end timeshares. So it is possible to sell for more, but you want to try to keep your timeshare for longer than 10 to 15 years because that's the only way you'll get most of your initial money back out of it. My best idea for you, instead of selling it, is just learn how to use it. Most people just want to sell it because they don't know how to use it. And so what I would recommend, watch my other video on how to trade your timeshare, because a lot of people, and I just had another guy message me like on the video, about, you know, when he goes to look for RCI trades, he's like, there's nothing ever available. And that was my whole point of that video. There's nothing like 98%, 99% chance what you want is not going to be available if you just go search for it online. It just doesn't work like that. Let me try this trick. This dog, something else. So see, now if I do that, then this good. Okay, so sorry, I don't have a sweet system with this yet. You want to learn how to use it first, so you can watch my videos on how to trade it. It's pretty simple, and the exchange companies have a high success rate of getting what you want when you want if you do it right. And to do it right, watch my other video on trading power. Make sure you have enough trading power and you've traded the right week, because that's the biggest determining factor in what you get. And then the second thing is, you always have to do a request first. You always have to. If you're like, I want to go to Vail this winter to go skiing. If you try to search Vail or wherever, Tahoe, right now, like it's November right now when I'm shooting this, if you wanted to try to get there this January or February, and you put in a search, I'll guarantee you almost nothing pops up except for, like, you know, some obscure timeshare resort you never heard from and doesn't look like you want to stay there. But if you want to stay at, you know, the Hilton one, or the, I don't know what the higher end ones in RCI are, but Hilton, Disney, something like that. If you want to stay there, it's not going to be available. And it'll never pop up like that. If you want to go into interval and do the same thing, it's never going to show up like that. You can't, and trust me, because I try. You watch my other video, the first time I bought one when I was like 21, I was like, I want to go to Newport Beach this summer. Like, not available. I was like, oh, I want to go to Lake Tahoe for 4th of July. That's where I'm from, area. And they're like, oh, you have to book that like a year in advance. I was like, what about Hawaii this month? They're like, yeah, good luck. And they're like 6 of them never came up. And then, so I didn't even use it. And that's when I kind of quit the business. Well, with that fire, kind of quit/fired kind of with that car incident. But
then I would work with all these people and they all had the same problem. And then later, once I got back in the industry to dealing with owners, and 80% of owners were like using it all the time, and they like got quite a bit of stuff. And then I met the owner of an exchange company, and he's the one who taught me how to do it. And I was like, how come you can never trade these damn things anywhere? And he's like, because nobody reads the instructions and nobody does it right. And he's like, you got to give up a good week to get a good week. That's why RCI got sued for, I don't know, $100+ million, because everybody thought their red week in Branson traded for a red week in Hawaii when it did not. And as a result of the lawsuit, that's when they had to come up with that trading point system where they assign your week points so you know what your weeks were now, and it's all visible. Interval has the same thing on that trading demand index on the right. Your week's worth 0 to 150. So whatever week you book on that quadrant, and I always joke because when I was first in the industry, I thought that told you the best weather there in that area. I didn't know that meant like the power of your week, because you can't trade a Mercedes for a Toyota Corolla. You can't trade Hawaii, or you can't trade your, Phoenix, Arizona July week to Maui over Christmas. Just doesn't work like that. So you have to have an equal week to get what you want. That's the first step. The second step is you always got to put in a request first. But I was trying to make this video on how to sell it, so you can watch that other video. It goes into a little more detail. There's one where I do it on the computer and one where I'm walking. I don't think I have that many videos on there. Okay, so if you want to sell it, get the price, get the expectation in your mind. You're not going to get what you paid for out of it. If you're just done with it and it's already paid off and you don't want anything for it, then just call your developer. Most of them by now have a buyback program, or you can just like deed it back to them and they'll just take over the maintenance fees. So you can, I know Diamond has that, I think. Like Marriott has their own resale program where they can resell it for you. You wouldn't get as much as using somebody like the broker we work with, I don't think, not from what I've heard. So you can do that. Worldmark, Wyndham, they don't have a for sale program. They have Wyndham has a rental program, Wyndham Extra Holidays, but they take like a 40% commission. The best thing if you own a point system with a major developer is just rent out the points. Like my company, we can rent out your timeshare points for you. You're not going to probably make much over your maintenance fees or just cover your maintenance fees, but if you could have someone like us rent it out for you, and that way you don't have that cost, and then on the years you want to use it, then just go use it. If you've already paid for it, or you're already paying for it, especially if you have a loan. If you have a loan, you can't get out of it. Unless, I have another guy I work with. So this is a tricky, there are timeshare mortgage cancellation guys, but this is a slippery slope too. Some of these guys I know, I've heard, aren't on the up and up. It's kind of the same thing as the for sale thing. I have a guy who can get you out if you have a loan on it, but you got to pay him up front, which I don't recommend, but it's pretty inexpensive. And we can even, if you want the complete trust, we can run it through my company, and then he'll give me like a commission, like a small commission, but he doesn't charge very much comparatively to what some of these other companies, like the ones you hear on the radio, like get out of your timeshare exit specialist. From what I've heard, a lot of that, like that one that you hear all the time, even like on the Glenn Beck program and stuff. I don't know if it's on Glenn Beck, but it's on the radio, like some major program, and they went out of business, like for frauding people or something. So that's a tough situation. I have a guy I've been working with for the last few years. I've sent him over probably 10 or 15 people, and seems to have gotten them all out of their loans. So it is possible. Just, you got to be very careful. You have to read a lot of reviews. There's like the timeshare exit team, and there's all these attorneys that do it, but like probably 80% of those guys are scams too. So you have to be very careful. I'd read a lot of reviews and stuff. So you can do that. That's your only option if you have a loan on what you own. If you own it outright, that's going to be a hell of a lot easier. So you could list it on redweek.com for like $25. They have a for sale section. It's pretty good because it's all timeshare owners that go there. The timeshare users group, tug2.net. Go to the timeshare marketplace, for sale. I think their membership's like $15. They might have an ad charge too. I don't know, like $20 or something. And they have a ton of resources on there, and they'll have a ton of groups. Like anybody you encounter that you think might be a scam or you want more information of, just Google their name and timeshare users group, and usually there'll be a thread on their website of people who have used them or not used them or can tell you more information. They're a great resource. So it's mainly just other timeshare owners on there, and those guys that started it seem to do a good job screening everybody and getting good information out there. So, okay, so you can do that. Like my preference would be for you to rent out your points when you're not using it, at least just for the maintenance fees, and keep it till you've owned it for longer than 15 years. Then try to sell it. As long as you own a major developer. If you bought some, you know, or you're drinking a little too much in French Lick, Indiana, and you bought the Tuskegee Resort or something, yeah, you might want to just get rid of it. Because a lot of those older resorts, all they can really do is convert you to RCI points, and RCI points I don't find are that great. Oh, great. She sees a deer. She's gonna hunt a deer. she got it in her sights. Oh. The deer ran in the woods. Okay, good. All right. Okay, so you put it on there. Timeshare user group, Facebook Marketplace. You can list it in the Facebook Marketplace. There's charities. Also, you can donate to charities. You could Google like charities that donate your timeshares to timeshare users group. I wrote a book, Timeshare Tips and Tricks. You can get it on Amazon. Tony Avitia, Timeshare Tips and Tricks. I put like the charity places you can go in there. Of course, I haven't updated the book in a few years, so they should still be there. If not, just go to the timeshare users group. Try to give it to friends and family, or donate it to your church every year and use that as your deduction. You know, like book them a week in Hawaii that they can raffle off, or, you know, wherever it's conducive to your area. So you could do that. You can use it for gifts. You can trade it for work. Like if you need work done around your house, tile job, roofing job, something, you can trade those guys for a week of vacation a lot of times. So you can think out of the box like that. And then where else could you go to sell it? See, Facebook Marketplace. Oh, Craigslist. You can put it on Craigslist too. That's free. That's kind of be a rough road. And then to do the paperwork and stuff, you can go on the timeshare users group, and they have timeshare escrow companies that can handle all the paperwork for you. And then they also have timeshare, not mortgage, like secondary financing for timeshares. So you can link up, you can Google, you know, timeshare secondary market mortgage companies, and like, so say you're trying to sell for like $5,000 on Craigslist, you can just post the link to that place for those people if you're trying to sell it that way, and that way they can get their own financing, and then they'll pay you and they help do the paperwork. They just put like 20% down, I think, and then they can finance the rest. So that's an option if you want to do it on your own, if you have some good weeks. Like the Mexico ones and stuff, those are going to be tough to resell. So go to the LTRBA, find a licensed timeshare broker. If they don't take your timeshare, then it's probably not worth much. If you can find it on eBay for $1, it's probably not worth, not that it's not worth a lot, it's just hard to sell like that, like I said, because nobody wakes up and wants to buy timeshare. So, all right, I think that's pretty much it. Best way, let us rent out your points and then you use it when you want. That's probably your best option. If you own a good week and you just have to get out of it for whatever reason, use the licensed broker. And if you just don't use it because you don't know how, watch my other videos on how to trade, because they do work. But that's it. All right, if you need any help, contact us. Support at timesharesimplified.com. You can visit our website, timesharesimplified.com. And we're here to help with whatever you need. Akira, the timeshare dog, and I are out. All right, have a great day. Happy holidays.